Hey, 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 come on in, pull up a chair, take a load off, because today I will be sharing a special Kickstarter preview of Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria, which is from Daily Magic Games. And I'll dive in right after this. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. I just also happen to be the grand poobah of thegaminggang.com. I am going to dive into Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria in just a moment. But before I do, if you like this video, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that notification bell because it will not only inform you when I upload standalone videos such as this, it'll also let you know when my live stream, The Daily Dope, airs right here on YouTube, Monday through Thursday nights. So we're going to be talking about Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria, which is from Daily Magic Games. It's designed by Stan Kordonsky with artwork provided by Mahalo Dmitrievsky. Hopefully I'm close with those pronunciations. The game is for 1 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 30 to 60 minutes, and is coming to Kickstarter very shortly. Let's swing on over to the other camera, and I will start by talking about some of the key components to Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria. Let's begin by taking a look at some of the components of Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria. Here we got the rulebook. I will actually show off the rulebook a little closer when I zoom out and show the game board basically set up. But Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria is, of course, part of Daily Magic Games' Valeria setting. And unlike other games where you're playing heroes or humans, in Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria, you're actually the big baddies. So you are wardens, you are leaders of various different factions of monsters who are looking to attack the lands of Valeria. And each of the players is a warden who is vying to be named as the general, the big leader who is going to be in charge of the attack on the lands of Valeria. So very short rule book, very easy to jump into. There's like 7, 8 pages of rules. And as I mentioned, we will take a closer look at this in just a moment. But also, other thing I do want to point out is everything we're going to look at is essentially simply prototype, except for the dice. So these dice are effectively the finished product that we're going to find in the game. These are custom 6-sided dice. So to kind of give you an idea what we're looking at here, these dice represent the forces, the different factions, the monsters that are going to be recruited for each of the warden's armies. So we've got red is orcs, blue are gargoyles, brown are gnolls, gray are skeletons or undead, and the green are goblins. And you'll notice each of these dice will have the traditional number on its face, but there are a couple of other items on here to take note of. We will see that we've got a little circle in the lower left corner, and that is going to have a negative number or a slash. So it's going to be anywhere from nothing, the slash, or I should say dash, not slash, or anywhere up to -5. So the lower the number on the face, the higher the discount is going to be, because that is what this represents, a discount. I will talk about how to utilize the discount when we talk about the gameplay itself. Also, for those out there who might have a hard time discerning different colors, we do have a little icon in the lower right corner, which is going to show which faction is this. So we've got a little goblin head there. Those are goblins. Little skeleton there. Those are the undead, the skeletons. So these are the various different dice. I think they're pretty cool. I like them. I like them a lot. And what we're going to do is we have these different shrines in the game, and you're going to see these shrines blindly from a draw bag. And depending on the number of players, so let's say we're doing a 3-player game, you would actually reach into the bag and draw 4 dice and roll them, and that's what you would put in the shrine. You'll get a closer look when I take a peek at the actual gameplay. So we got the dice, like I said, pretty cool. I like these dice. This is not a dice placement game, though. I have to point out, it's got a little bit of a worker placement aspect to it with your leaders, and it's more along the lines of set collecting with your dice, but it is not a dice placement game. So I know there's probably folks out there who've seen these dice and they're thinking, oh, it's a dice placement game. Not really. One of the big things with the game are battle plans. This is one of the ways, kind of your main way, that you're going to be able to score victory points in Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria. So we're going to take a quick peek at some of these. And this is what you utilize these dice for, too. I'll just flip some over at random and I'll explain how these cards work. So each of these battle plans are going to have a certain number of dice. So whenever you see this symbol, this represents those are the dice. So to complete the airstrike at the Praetorius Conclave, you would need a blue die and a red die. So you'd need a gargoyle die and an orc die. This is also a siege battle plan. Waylay the Margrave of Cayman, I think that says Cayman, is in it's an ambush. I almost said assault. It's an ambush, and that requires an orc and goblin die. So you'll have 2, 3, and 4 die battle plans to complete. So here, bomb Fort Araby. You need 2 goblins, 2 gnolls. Once again, that's a siege. You've got the crossed axes here. That means that is a clash battle plan. These icons come into play with some of the objectives, which I'll show you in just a couple of moments. Also, you have a campaign board, which you will see in a moment, that you can score extra victory points or get special bonuses from these as well. So to complete these battle plans, you need dice. And you will have these dice on your battle board, effectively, your player board in front of you. You start off with the ability to have 3 dice, and you can unlock the ability to have up to 5 dice on your board at one time. So as an example, let's say, give me a green. Come on, I need a green die. I'm just reaching into the bag blindly. All right. What did I do? What did I throw all the goblins away? There we go. Jeez. So say for an example, I have this battle plan, and I will show you how you gain these battle plans. If I happen to have a green and red die, I can complete this battle plan. There are other ways to create wild dice also, in case you didn't happen to have these. So what'll happen is I assign these dice. I'm able to complete this battle plan. I will score victory points depending on the total on my dice, plus maybe a bonus. And then I move on. I should point out that the end game trigger is the first player to complete 7 battle plans. Triggers the end game, which you will play one more round, go around the table one more time. And then once you've done that, you're going to tally up your victory points to find out who is the victor. Now we have some other cards too. So we've got these champions. So we've got the champions here, and you're able to purchase champions. You will start off with the ability to have as many as 3 champions, and you can unlock bonuses to have up to 10 champions. We either have a lightning bolt, these alternating arrows, or we have this hourglass. This means whatever bonus this champion gives you takes place immediately. It's a one and done. This means that it is an ongoing effect. This means this is end of game scoring. These cost you 1 gold. These cost you 3 gold. These cost you 6 gold. Plus the number of champions you already possess of that same type. So these are cheapies, these are middle of the road, and these tend to be a bit more expensive. So to kind of give you an idea, so let's flip this. So we've got the thief. It's a little goblin thief. I like the artwork to this. The artwork's pretty cool. So you would immediately get 6 gold. So we've got gems, we've got magic, we've got initiative, we have gold. And when I show you the player board, I'll explain those. So that would give you 6 gold. If you recruited the shadow would give you 3 magic. So magic points are used to remove battle plans and champions and replace them. So, and you can use magic to basically try to pull down the battle plans because they'll be in a row. You'll see it in a moment. And the lower down they go, the cheaper they will be. And you have to purchase your battle plan. All right. So here we've got the ongoing effects. So we flip that one over here. We got the brawler. So the brawler allows us every time we complete a battle plan that has the clash, we're going to get to add 2 strength to it. So we'll get to add 2 strength. The stronger your battle plans are, which are effectively your dice faces, as well as sometimes you'll have the bonus. You get different bonuses for things, like, say, the brawler. So this gives an additional 2 to the strength of your completed battle plan. And the stronger it is, the more victory points you'll get. This allows you, if I remember correctly, this is when you spend a gem, you get 2 magic. Let's double check. Take a look here. Thankfully, we've got the handy dandy different champions here. That's an ongoing. That was what, the Oracle? Yep, the Oracle. The Oracle. Whenever you spend a gem from your player board, you gain 1 magic. Well, that's misprint. It's 2 magic right there on the card. So, well, like I said, this is a prototype. So that is the ongoing effect. So every time that happens, you're going to get that. So every time I complete a clash battle plan, I would get to add 2 strength to it. And then we've got the end of game scoring. Take a couple of these. So the bombardier. So I would get 2 victory points. This is the little icon for victory points for every completed battle plan that I have, which is a siege. So we've got that. Let's see what this one's going to be. A witch doctor. So we get 3 victory points for every gem that we have at the end of the game. And unless you unlock through the bonus, you can only have 1 gem at a time. You can unlock a bonus where you can have up to 3 gems on your player board. We're going to look at one other thing, and then we're going to jump into the player board and the campaign board as well. So we have these objective cards. You'll have 3 of these in play during the game. So let's take a look at 3 of these here. Give you an idea of what we're talking about. So these are objectives. These are going to get you bonus victory points when you complete this objective, and if you're at a special shrine for you to be able to collect this. You can collect these objectives from the magic shrine. Once again, you'll learn more about that when we take a look at the board. So this would be if I complete 3 ambush battle plans. First player to do it gets 7 victory points. Second player to do it gets 5. Third player gets 4. Now you can have up to 5 players. So you're going to find that with more players, These will fill up quicker. This is if a player has 6 champions. First player to 6 champions, 9, 7, 6. So 9 for the first player, 7 for the second, 6 for the possible third. This is the campaign board, which I'll show you a campaign board. They look like this. We're going to take a peek at these in just a moment. But as you unlock, as you complete battle plans, you're going to unlock special abilities, special bonuses on your player board. When you take the token off of that bonus, you're going to actually put it on your campaign board. Everyone's going to have a different campaign board. They are dual sided, and there are a multitude of these that are available as well. I think there's a couple more that I just don't have handy. And you're going to choose which side. But regardless, what you would do is the first player to fill out these 3 up here, these 3 down, going down that way. You could get 8 victory points. Second player gets 6. Third player gets 5. So kind of cool. Another way for you to bank away some victory points, to score some victory points. This game can be kind of swingy with victory points, and I like that fact. It's kind of tough to just kind of run away with everything in this game. This is not necessarily a game that you're going to see somebody jump out in front and nobody can catch them. All right, so we're going to take a look here. So this is the battle board. This is, I should say the player board. I always keep calling it a battle board. So you're going to have a little token to mark the victory points because there's a victory point track around the main board. So you got that. You're going to mark off magic points, 3 magic points there. Start off with 6 gold and 10 initiative. You've got your meeple for your leader. So that's the orc here. Once again, it's just a prototype. That's going to change. I'm sure these little tokens and that are going to change as well. And then you'll notice that we've got these markers here blocking things off. These are our bonuses that we're going to be able to unlock as we complete our battle plans. So as I mentioned, you're going to start off, you're going to have the ability to have 3 champions. So what you end up doing is your champions are going to go along here. You're just going to keep them in a row like so. Even if you've already one and done, activated them, just keep them in a row so that everybody can easily track if you're at your limit or not. So when I complete a battle plan, say for an example, I completed one, say I complete this one, that's going to go over here. I then get to choose one of these tokens to remove. And let's say, as an example, I say, I am going to remove my special ability token there. So that allows me to use any orc die, any red die, as a wild die. So if I want to make it goblins or skeletons or whatever, I can do that. That allows me to do that when I'm completing my battle plan. This allows me to increase my limit to 6 champions or 10 champions. As I mentioned, we've got these gems, and the gems are used to manipulate the die faces. Or you can also use it to change a die to a wild die as well. So we've got these little gems here, which you can only get from the gem shrine. You don't start off with any gems. So you can spend your gems to do that. I can unlock the ability to have up to 3 gems on my player board. Normally, you can only have 1. We also have an additional 1 point of strength to our battle plans that we can add. This allows us to bring things past 13. So I can unlock this, and any of these items here, the magic, the gold, or the initiative, can now go past 13. Also notice if we get up to here, we're going to get victory points. Final thing we've got is unlocking die spots. So as I mentioned previously, you can start off with having 3 dice on your player board. This unlocks the ability to have two more dice on your player board. Now, whenever you unlock these bonuses, you're actually going to take your token here and you're going to place it somewhere on your campaign board. So these are special bonuses here that allow us to do different things. And usually it's when we complete the battle plan. So you have to look at what is the battle plan you just wrapped up. So as an example, if I completed a battle plan that required a goblin and I had the goblin obviously enough to complete the battle plan, I can close that up and that gives me a victory point. Maybe I had one that had gargoyles. Bingo, that gives me a victory point. Maybe I had over a strength of 15. That would give me 2 victory points if I close that one off. I do also want to mention that when you're doing your battle plans, when you're completing your battle plans, the strength of it is based on the facing of your dice. So, as an example here, I could complete this with 7. Now, that's not that great because only 7 strength only gets me a victory point. So, you're always looking to try to have the highest die numbers available to you, but you can never have your strength of your battle plan higher than your initiative. So it'll be important for you to keep boosting up your initiative, especially when you go to complete, 3 and 4 die battle plans, because you want as many victory points as you possibly can. And as you can see, there's a huge jump in victory points based on the strength of your battle plan of your dice. And of course, whenever you complete your battle plan, you just simply remove the dice and place them back into the draw bag. Another cool aspect of the campaign board is once you unlock another special ability or bonus, you're also going to be able to place another one of these tokens. And if you link up, so remember I was showing you we had that objective that was like this line here, this line here. Oh, maybe I'm trying to do that. So if I were to finish that up, close that off, I also get what's linked between as a bonus. So I could get 3 additional gold, 2 magic, 2 initiative, another 2 initiative. I get a gem as long as I don't already have a gem and I don't have this blocked off. But I could get a die. I can get a hero. I can get a champion. So very cool extra bonuses for you linking things together as you go along. So, as an example here, this would be if I complete an ambush battle plan, I get 2 victory points for that as well. One last thing I do want to mention, and it's easy to miss on your player board, is this section here with your battle plan. You can never have more than 3 battle plans at one time. So these are effectively your schemes, the schemes your warden has been working on. But when you purchase these battle plans, you get to place the battle plan in one of your open slots. So when you place that, you have the ability to spend gold to get the bonus that is in that slot. So, for an example, if I place my battle plan here that I buy, I can spend a gold and I can increase my initiative by 1. If I were to place my battle plan here, that means I can spend 2 gold and I can take a die from any of the shrines. We're going to see the shrines in just a moment. Or here, if I place my battle plan, I can purchase a champion for its regular price. I don't have to pay anything extra for the number of champions I already have of that type. It's easy to kind of forget this. And I know Cameron did a few times in the games that we played. And it was always like the first time he put down his first battle plan, he forgot to take advantage of this. And I kept having to remind him. So that's another cool little aspect to the game. There's a lot of different wrinkles. There are a lot of little things that are going on under the surface of this design that just reading the rule book, you're kind of like, how does this all fit together? And then once you play the game, it all fits together really nicely. So these are the components. What we're going to do now is we are going to swing over to uh, the other camera zoomed up and out, about as far up as I can get, actually. And we're going to take a look at the game setup and pretty much the gameplay for Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria. Here we have the board set up for a three-player game of Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria. And now I'll explain how the various different aspects of the game that we took a closer look at tie together and what you do in a turn, depending on which of these shrines that you're located at. How do you complete your battle plans? And effectively, how are you going to score the most victory points? I did point out I was going to show you the rules when I zoomed out. So the rule book is very short. I apologize. It's probably not going to be completely in focus here simply because I'm using a prime lens. So there is no autofocus on a prime lens, but I get nice sharp video on my Sony A6000 from the overhead shots. But all in all, really 7 pages of rules. There is a bit of an index, kind of glossary explaining some of the different champions, what some of these instant, ongoing, and end game champions do. There is a solitaire variant as well. That's pretty cool, pretty fun to play, where you're tackling the adversary. So there's the rules. Easy peasy, easy to get jump into. So kind of jumping around the board here. These are the battle plans. We already talked a little bit about the battle plans themselves. We have a victory point track that runs around the center, which has our different shrines, which allow us to do different things. We have the gem shrine. We have the magic shrine. We've got the champions shrine. We've got the gold shrine. And then we have the tactics shrine, which effectively tackles the battle plans here. We also have those objectives up top that we took a peek at before. We've got our champions, so we've got a lineup of the instants, the ongoing, as well as the final scoring champions. And they cost 1 gold, 3 gold, and 6 gold, respectively, plus 1 gold piece for every champion of that type you already have. Now, remember, we've already talked earlier about how you'll be able to unlock more champions on your board as you close out, as you wrap up and complete some of the battle plans. I'm actually going to kind of push up these a little bit because I got to point out my overhead camera is way up there and I couldn't get it up far enough so that we weren't cutting this off. So I'm just gonna cut off our scoring track here. It doesn't really matter. Gonna put these together. So we also have our dice. We've got our dice laid out. I'm showing off the goblin as well as the gargoyle, which, like I said before, these are going to change. And I've got my orc sitting in camp. And then we have a little first player marker. And of course, I've said it before, outside of the dice, everything else is kind of prototype, right? But actually, nicely put together, to be honest. My nephew Cameron was very impressed. He thought when we were going to be playing a kind of like unfinished game or a beta game that we were going to be playing with like just little sheets of paper that had been printed out. That no, not at all. Not at all. All right. So you see, we got the dice out. I've rolled up the dice. Depending on the number of players, will determine how many dice are in each of the shrines, as well as how many of these gems will be in the shrines as well. So when it's your turn, you have an option of going to one of 6 locations. You got the 5 shrines up here, and you also have camp. As I pointed out before, you cannot complete a battle plan without being in camp. So you can't collect any of these dice that are sitting here without being in one of these shrines. As you can see, our starting setup, the gnolls are kind of getting screwed here. There aren't too many gnolls, and there aren't too many orcs either. There's a lot of goblins out there, hardly any skeletons. And there's a lot of goblins, a good number of the gargoyles as well. So what you're going to do on each of your turns is you're going to decide what location are you going to send your leader to. You may not stay in the same area as you did previously. You have to leave and come back. So for an example, if I was sitting here in the gold shrine, hoping that I could really sock away a bunch of gold, I can only stay there one turn. On my next turn, I have to move along somewhere else. Doesn't matter where it's at. It just cannot be the same shrine that I was already at the previous turn. So let's take a look at these different shrines. First off, we have the gem shrine. So the one thing that you get to do out of any of these shrines when you arrive is you're going to collect one of the dice because they represent the forces that are going to be available to build your army. So, as an example, here we've got two orcs, we've got one skeleton, one goblin up there in the gem shrine. So, that's the first thing you're going to do. You're going to collect one of the dice and you keep the face facing the side that it's on. So, one thing, and I had to point this out to the gang a couple of times, they had to be very careful when they picked up the die and they didn't just, drop it down on the table someplace and be like, oh, whoops. It's like, no, 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 that was a 3. So, so it stays a 3. So when you go to the gem shrine, not only will you take one of these dice, you'll also get a gem. Ta-da! And would go on your board. One of my options when I complete a battle plan is open up spaces for more gems. But until I do that, I can only have one gem. So, what is a gem good for? Well, a gem can be used in two different ways. It is only used when you're completing one of your battle plans. But what you can do is you can spend the gem. Let's say, for an example, I had a 1. I can spend that gem and I can actually flip that die to its opposite face, which we gamers know, six-sided dice, the opposite of the 1 is the 6. Because remember, we're looking to get a lot of strength when we're putting together our battle plans, when we're completing our battle plans. The higher the strength and the higher our initiative, the more victory points we are going to score for those. So you can do that. Now, when you spend your gem, you're going to return it back to the gem shrine. You don't discard it. So you've got an option to do that. You can also use your gem. You can spend your gem to make any die a wild die. So, as an example, let's just pretend that I was trying to complete this battle plan. So, when you go to complete your battle plan, you just simply put it on top of your player board like so. And let's say I had something like this. Let's say that was my setup. Well, I need 3 gnolls to be able to complete this. But what I can do is I can spend a gem and I can create a wild die. Make a wild die so we can say, okay, so that one's actually a brown die. It's a null. There's my other 2 null dice. Boom, I have completed my battle plan. So that is what the gems are used for. Put these back here. And we'll just move that off to the side. So those are the things that you can do when you go to the gem pool. So you're going to take one of these dice of your choice, and you're also going to take a gem. Then we also have the Magic Shrine. So when you go to the Magic Shrine, you have an option of one of two things. Of course, you're going to take your die. So you're going to take your die. Let's say, let's get an orc. Yeah, where are the orcs? We'll steal a 6. So we can do that. And we also can gain 2 magic. Pop that up there. Or if we have completed an objective, we can score that objective. So, as an example, if I had completed 3 ambush battle plans, I would have to go to the Magic Shrine and claim my objective bonus, which, if I were the first person, I would be getting 7 victory points and I would just mark it off with one of my tokens. Simple enough. So that's what you can do with the Magic Shrine. So what can you do with magic? Well, you can spend magic to eliminate battle plans as well as champions. So what'll happen as people purchase the battle plans? What they'll do is, as an example, let's say I bought this at some point. When that happens, we're going to immediately refill and we only need 1 battle plan, Jeff. So we're going to drop down to cover in the empty spot, to fill the empty spot, and then we're going to replace the 5 gold battle plan with something new. So as an example, what you can do is, let's say, wow, you know what? I would really like to get this battle plan here, but I don't want to spend 3 gold. There are discounts that take place, which we'll talk about in just a sec. We talked a little bit about the discount icon on the dice. Let's say, for an example, hey, I would like to get this Bomb Fort Araby. So I can spend a magic point to eliminate one of these battle plans. It would go to the bottom of the deck underneath and then bring these down. You'd fill in the new one. And I can do this as long as I have magic. So I could sit there and say, okay, I'm going to spend another magic that goes underneath here, right? Then these go down and then fill in the new battle plan. Like so. In order to purchase a battle plan, though, I have to be at the Tactics Shrine. So that's important to keep in mind. I can only purchase a battle plan from the Tactics Shrine. But that's one of the things you can do with magic. Another thing you can do with magic is replace champions. So, same as with the battle plans. As an example, I would say, okay, so if I get rid of the seer, I'd spend a magic point, get to move these over, and place that on the bottom of the deck, just like so. Actually, the reality is you don't even have to really move it over. You can just replace it right there because there isn't that descending cost. These all have the same cost. But for some strange reason, we got used to just going like, okay, well, you're replacing this one. Okay. Move it over, flip it over, put it on the bottom. But you really don't have to do that. So that's the other thing you can do with magic. So you can replace battle plans, you can replace champions. So those are the 2 things that you do with magic. And during your turn, as long as you've got magic points, you can do it as many times as you want. Simple enough. Next, we can move on to the Champions Shrine. This is what allows us to purchase our champions. And to do so, what we're going to do, once again, we're going to take our die. We're going to take one of our dice here, decide which one we want. And then we're going to purchase one of these champions. And we also get the discount on the die. So, of course, the lower the number on the face, the better the discount. So a 1 has a -5, whereas a 6 has no discount whatsoever. So as an example, I have, let's say I'm down to maybe like 3 gold, but I really want one of these end of scoring champions. Well, I might sit there and say, okay, well, I'll take the 2 and I'm going to buy one of the champions here and I'm going to spend my 3 because I have a discount of -4 on this 2 die. And that way I only have to spend, what did I say? I had 3 gold. I only have to spend 2 gold and I can get, say, let's say I take the Kingslayer. And then remember, our champions go in a line next to our player board. We only have 3 to start off with, but we can unlock these and carry up to 10 champions as well. And remember, we may have some objectives up here that score us extra victory points for having multiple champions, which you're going to have multiple champions. If you don't have champions, you're not going to be winning this game. I'll tell you that right now. So that is what we do as far as the champions shrine. Next, we have the gold shrine. Gold shrine's easy peasy. Simply take the opposite number of the die you collect. So the opposite number of the discount. So a 3 is actually a 3, funny enough. So I would take the opposite of that discount in gold. So as an example here, I've got -1 for the 5. Well, if I take this 5, I get 1 gold. I get to add 1 gold. If, for an example, we had a 1 in here and I took that 1, then I would get 5 gold. So there's a balancing act with some of these shrines. Getting the higher face die is great, but whatever you're purchasing or bonus you're getting, you're not going to get a discount or you're not going to get more gold. But that's all that the gold shrine does, is it provides you with a die, of course, as well as gold. Finally, we have the tactics shrine, and the tactics shrine allows us to purchase a battle plan. The discounts come into play here as well. So, for an example, if I decided, hey, I really would like to get this, I don't have a lot of gold. Well, I could choose 2 as my die, and I get a -4 discount. That's 4 gold, so it would cost me nothing to take this battle plan. So let's pretend I do that. Just for the sake of argument, I end up doing that. And I take that battle plan, and I'm going to place that battle plan. I'm going to scoot this up here, and I'm going to put it in one of these 3 locations. One thing that never unlocks is the ability to have more battle plans. You can only have 3 battle plans that you're essentially you're planning. These are, these are your plots that your warden, your big bad is looking to unleash. So you have 3 slots here. When you place your battle plan, you'll notice that we have these little options up here. When you first place a battle plan in a slot that's open, you have the opportunity to take advantage of this little extra bonus here. So, this bonus here allows you to spend 1 gold to increase your initiative. Remember, the score that you have on your battle plan can never be higher than the initiative. So the strength of your battle plan, the strength of your dice can never be higher than your initiative. So you are going to want to boost your initiative up a little bit, even if you just pop it up to 11, because it's going to unlock more victory points. You're really going to want to try to get up to 14. So that allows you to do that. Next, if I decided to place it here, I can spend 2 gold and I can actually claim a die from any of the shrines. So that is what this allows me to do here. If I were to place my battle plan in this slot. This allows me to purchase any of these champions that are out here at its given cost. So even if I had, let's say I had two of these end of game scoring champions, then I could sit there and still only pay 6 gold to get one of them. I don't have to pay that additional, like, I guess we'll say it's kind of a penalty. It's just an additional cost by adding the number that you already have of that type to the cost of getting that champion. So that is what those do down there as well. Of course, let's not forget we also have our campaign board, which will allow us, as we complete our battle plans and we start stacking our battle plans up here alongside. You don't have to string them out. You can just stack them up, or at least do something where you can tell how many you've completed. Because remember, when one of the players completes their 7th battle plan, that is what triggers the end game scoring. Everybody gets one last round, and then you're going to tally up your victory points. But whenever you complete a battle plan, you get to remove one of these blocked off bonuses on your player board. So if I were to complete this, I can say, okay, well, I'm gonna carry the ability to have 4 dice on my board now. Now I can actually tackle the big 4 die missions, battle plans. I can complete those battle plans. Whenever I unlock one of the bonuses, I am going to place my token on the campaign board. And as I had mentioned before, whenever you do that, you're going to unlock special bonuses. You might get a free champion. You might get a free die. You might get extra victory points when you chain things together. So let's say, for an example, I completed the swoop in on Hobbs End as my battle plan there. It happens to be a clash. Well, if I wanted, I could say, okay, well, I cleared this up. So it is a clash. That gives me 2 victory points. Whenever you score victory points, you're always going to count them out. You're going to put them along the track so that everybody knows how many victory points everybody's at. Let's say, just as an example here, we'll throw these down out. So let's say that's kind of what's going on. So whenever you get an objective, you score your victory points. Anytime you've got victory points popping out, whenever you complete your battle plans, you'll get your victory points. Always count them out. You're not going to count these up at the end of the game to do your scoring. Now, of course, you do have end game scoring because there's different things that are going to give you bonuses too. Let's say, for an example, another one we complete this Bushwhack Zafar's Oasis, which is an ambush battle plan. So let's say I decided when I did that, I unlocked more champions. Well, I had to have a green die. We're going to pretend these aren't the dice I've got. Let's say I completed that with 2 orcs and a goblin die. And wow, hey, so if I completed a battle plan with a goblin, I get a victory point. That's cool. I think that's what I'll take. So I do that. I go boom. I get an extra victory points on top of what I got for completing the battle plan, which is right down here. And I also will unlock this. So I unlock this chain and I get to increase my initiative by 2. So let's wrap up by just talking a little bit about the battle plans and how you complete your battle plan. So as an example, let's say for the sake of argument, toss these over here. Let's say we've got we'll do that. Right. And we'll say I was over here. So let's say it's early on, it's early in the game, and I've got this battle plan down here underneath, right? Because we can only have the 3, so it's kind of below my player board. It's hidden. because the camera can't go much further out. So let's say I'm completing this battle plan. So I'm going to put that battle plan up there. And remember, I have to be in camp in order to perform this battle plan. So it says I need a goblin as well as a gargoyle. So the blue and the green. Oh, I happen to have the blue and the green. So I've got, and let's say as an example, I also have a gem just for the heck of it. So I've got the 6 here for the goblin. Well, of course, obviously, I'm going to want to keep that. I don't want to. I don't want to change that. But what I might want to do is I might want to spend my gem so I can flip that over to a 5. Because if I don't, I'm not going to get a whole lot of victory points out of this. So for 7 or fewer, I would get 1 point. For 8 to 10, I get 3 victory points. But by spending that gem and flipping the 2 to the 5, that gets me up to 11, which now would get me 6 victory points. But also keep in mind, my initiative is still only 10. Your strength can never be higher than your initiative. So this is one of the reasons why you're going to want to gradually be bumping up your initiative as you go along, because when you're, especially when you've got like 4 die battle plans, you want to get as many victory points as you possibly can from these battle plans, because the jump in victory points is a big deal. So even 14 or 15 gets you 9 victory points. That's a good chunk of VPs to be getting from just a single battle plan. So for the sake of argument, let's say I did have my initiative up to 11. I would spend my gem. Now, remember, the only time you get to spend these gems is when you are completing a battle plan. The only time you get to spend the gems. I can either flip the die to its opposite face, or I can change the die to make it a wild die, right? So, as an example, maybe if I had this, I could spend that gem and say, okay, well, that's a gargoyle now. I'm making that a blue die. Boom, do that, right? So, that is how you're going to complete your battle plans. You're going to complete it, take the dice, you're going to put that over here, and you are going to toss your dice back into the bag. So put it back into the draw bag. Now, what'll happen is when you start running out of dice, there's a few different things. There's a couple of things that you want to keep in mind. If there are no dice at a shrine, no one can go to that shrine. So that shrine is closed off until you get more dice. You are not going to get more dice out onto the board until there are 4 or fewer dice on the board. At that point, you are going to reseed the shrines. And each of the shrines gets 4 dice. You just basically reach into the bag, you pull out 4 dice. That's 5. Dummy. You roll them. There you go. So that's how you reseed it. When you do that, though, you're going to take all of your champions. You're going to put them that are still out here. You're going to put them on the bottom of the deck. You're going to refill your champion. You don't do that with the battle plans. The battle plans stay the way they were. Flip that over so it looks nice that we've replaced that. So the battle plans will remain as they are, but the champions will rotate out. So every time that you do that, every time you need to reseed the shrines, you are going to replace the available champions. Once again, you're going to continue until you have completed 7 of the battle plans. Whoever completes 7 battle plans triggers the end game, where you're going to go through one more round, one more turn around the table. And once you've completed that, you're going to do your end game scoring. And the end game scoring is mainly, you're going to see that you've got these final game scoring tallies that you're going to be using those champions for. And you want to have some of these at the end of the game because you don't want to just be sitting there like, all right, yeah, ha, ha, ha. I'm just using as an example, right? You're like, oh, the orcs have won. I don't have any champions who end up scoring. And then suddenly people are like, yeah, yeah, okay. All right. Oh, wait, hang on. There you go. Yeah, so much for the orcs. Effectively, in a nutshell, is how you play Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria. So let's swing back over to the other camera and I will share my final thoughts for this Kickstarter preview. Now that I've delved into Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria for about an hour, allow me to wrap up with my thoughts about the game. First thing I do want to mention, this is not a review. And the reason is I only review finished products or something that is very, very close to being the finished product. We know outside of the dice, everything that we were looking at is a prototype. So this is not a review. So will not provide a review score. That said, that doesn't mean I can't share my thoughts about the game and if we enjoyed playing it or not, and who it might be right for to possibly back this upcoming Kickstarter. So, first, I'm going to just point out two quick critiques that I've got. Number one, thematically, the game is not necessarily dripping in theme. You're not going to be playing and think, yes, I'm the leader of the gargoyles and we're going to attack Valeria. No, not at all. So, thematically, it's not baked into the design. Secondly, talking about theme, each of the players does represent a warden, a leader of various monsters. You are aiming to be named as the overall general of the army that is going to attack Valeria. You would think these monsters would kind of be at each other's throats to try to make sure that they're the one who gets named as the general. There's really no take that or conflict between the players in Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria. Granted, it's possible for you to end up getting a die that maybe somebody wanted, or recruiting a champion someone else wanted, or possibly buying a battle plan someone else wanted. But there's no way for you to devise a strategy to throw a wrench into other players' plans. It's just not part of the design. And I'm kind of surprised. Then again, I happen to be one of these people. I like take that in my games. I like conflict in my games. I know a lot of people don't. So, not necessarily gonna like knock the game because of it. I'm just a little surprised that thematically we don't have these different creatures kind of, trying to one up each other to be named as the overall general. So, with the critiques out of the way, let me point out I and the gang really, really enjoyed playing Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria. There's a lot of little things going on in the game that just all add up to a really nice sum. I like the fact that you can't sit in one shrine and just park your little meeple there and continually get the benefit from that shrine. You can only stop by once and then you got to move on to someplace else. You can come back later. You just can't sit there. So it's kind of cool how you can't just bank away like champions or gold or gems or anything like that. You're going to move around. Also like the fact that you have to go back to camp in order to complete your battle plans. Now, some folks out there might think that this makes the game take a bit longer to play, but the reality is your turn is pretty darn quick. You're taking a die and you're deciding, okay, this is what I get my special benefit from this shrine. I'm going to take that. And you're done. Basically, that's it. Because it's not like, okay, I get to collect dice and then I get to buy a champion and I go buy one of the battle plans and now I can finish up the battle plan. No, those are all separate. You're going to do those things all in a separate turn. So things move really, really quickly. No downtime really at all, even with 5 players. Your downtime between turns is maybe a minute, minute and a half by the time everybody knows how to play the game. Speaking of learning how to play the game, this is very, very easy for people to wrap their heads around. I was actually kind of surprised that the gang caught on to it as quickly as they did because there are all these little things going on. As I did mention, Cameron did kind of forget a couple of times that when they place their battle plan, they get to pay gold and get that special bonus. But outside of that, everything clicked really easily with all of the players. I've really had a good time playing Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria. I had an opportunity a couple of years ago. Yeah, I think it was about a couple of years ago to do a Kickstarter preview for Daily Magic Games for Thieves' Den. In fact, before Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria, that's the only other Daily Magic game I've actually played. So we really enjoyed that. So I was really excited to get a chance to check out Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria. And I'm very glad I did. I am going to say that for most gamers out there, especially if you enjoy Euro games and even sort of puzzly games, because this is kind of a set collection. This isn't necessarily a dice placement game, as I pointed out before. It is a bit of a worker placement and kind of set collecting, as well as kind of choosing your spots to get those bonus victory points or bonus initiative or other things as well, like maybe a champion, stuff like that with those campaign boards. If you like those kind of games where you're kind of solving a little bit of a puzzle, you will definitely dig this. If you are somebody expecting to be rolling dice and battling with armies and having a tactical battle or something like that, no, absolutely not. This game is not that at all. But it is a lot of fun. It's loads of fun. I also like the fact that, at least in the games we played, nobody completely ran away with any of the games victory point wise. And you also have that final scoring phase where if you're not paying attention and know what your opponents have as far as those end game scoring champions, you can be very surprised to turn out to be leading at the end of the game. And then after everybody tallies up their victory points, that you came in last. So I like that too. I enjoyed that as well. So all in all, I can certainly recommend Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria to just about any gamer out there. So keep your eyes peeled. This is coming to Kickstarter very soon. I think it's early July, very early July, it's going to hit. So that is it for this time out. As I always like to point out, if you like the video, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And if you do subscribe, be sure to ring that notification bell because it will not only notify you when I upload videos such as this, but also tell you when my live stream, The Daily Dope, airs Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube. So once again, I am Jeff McAleer. Thanks for checking this video out. As I have been wrapping up my videos during this time of pandemic, until I see you next, be smart and stay safe. Oh, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel by clicking right here. And of course, if you want to catch up on past episodes of The Daily Dope, check out this playlist. And if you'd like to see what YouTube's recommending you take a peek at from the channel, just give a click right over here. Of course, I'm Jeff McAleer, and once again, thank you very much for watching.